Here's what most people don't realize about GPS. It is not just a navigation system. It is the clock that keeps airplanes on course, financial markets synchronized, cell towers connected, and the electrical grid stable. If that clock fails, aviation falls back to emergency protocols, automated trading shuts down, cellular networks desynchronize, and parts of the power grid begin tripping offline to protect themselves. And there is no fully operational nationwide terrestrial backup to replace it. In this video, we're going to break down how GPS became the invisible heartbeat of modern infrastructure, why that dependency is fragile, and what would actually unfold if the signal stopped. I'm Dennis Lesak, and this is Signal and Shadow. Every week, we investigate the hidden systems and fragile infrastructure that quietly hold modern civilization together. Today, we're examining how one signal from space became the heartbeat of the world, and why we removed the spare tire. Each GPS satellite carries atomic clocks so precise they lose roughly 1 second every 30 million years. They broadcast nothing more than a timestamp. Your phone calculates your location by measuring tiny differences in when those signals arrive. But here's the part most people miss. Critical infrastructure doesn't care where it is. It cares what time it is. The electrical grid must synchronize alternating current across thousands of miles to the microsecond. If phase drifts, transformers explode. Financial markets timestamp millions of transactions per second. If timing desynchronizes, trade order collapses into chaos. Cell towers use GPS timing to coordinate signal handoffs. Without synchronization, calls drop and data stalls. Even emergency response systems rely on GPS timing. GPS is not a navigation system. It is a global clock, and nearly everything depends on it. In the 1990s and early 2000s, GPS was still primarily viewed as a military navigation tool. Commercial aviation adopted it. Shipping adopted it. Then telecom adopted it. Then banking. Then power utilities. It was free. It was precise. It was already there. So instead of building independent terrestrial timing networks, industries layered on top of GPS. Why build your own atomic clock when the sky is giving you one for free? Over time, the dependency became invisible. Infrastructure planners stopped designing for GPS failure. It became an assumed constant, like gravity. By the late 2000s, nearly every critical timing system in the United States had quietly consolidated around a single satellite constellation operated by the US Space Force. One signal, one provider, one point of failure. Before GPS dominated, the United States operated a system called eLORAN, long-range navigation. It was ground-based. Massive radio towers broadcast low-frequency signals across continents. It wasn't as accurate as GPS, but it was resilient. Low-frequency radio waves are incredibly difficult to jam. They can't be disabled from space, and they require enormous infrastructure to disrupt. By the early 2000s, an upgraded version called eLORAN could have provided reliable timing backups for critical systems. But in 2010, the US government shut it down. The reasoning? Budget savings. The logic was simple. GPS was reliable. No catastrophic failure had occurred. Maintaining two systems seemed redundant. So the spare tire was removed. Meanwhile, other nations watched. China invested heavily in its Beidou satellite constellation and, simultaneously, built out a modern eLORAN terrestrial backup network. Russia retained terrestrial navigation systems. The West consolidated. Others diversified. There are three categories of realistic risk. First, solar activity. A sufficiently powerful coronal mass ejection can damage satellite electronics and disrupt signals for extended periods. We've experienced near misses in the modern era. Second, space debris or anti-satellite conflict. Even a small number of disabled satellites could degrade signal integrity, especially if combined with debris cascades. Third, and most immediate, electronic warfare. GPS jamming and spoofing devices are no longer rare military assets. Portable jammers can be purchased for a few $100s. Spoofing, sending false GPS signals, has already been observed in multiple geopolitical regions. Ships have been made to believe they were miles from their actual location. Aircraft have reported false positioning data. If spoofing becomes widespread against timing receivers, not navigation devices, infrastructure begins to drift. And drift is catastrophic. Let's walk through a realistic timeline. Hour 1. Navigation errors. Aviation reverts to ground-based radar and backup procedures. Flights slow. Delays cascade. Hour 3. Telecom networks begin experiencing synchronization instability. Dropped calls increase. Data throughput degrades. Hour 6. Financial institutions detect timestamp discrepancies. Clearinghouses halt automated trades to prevent systemic corruption. Hour 8 to 12. Grid operators detect phase misalignment across regions. Protective relays begin tripping to prevent physical damage. Power outages spread regionally, not because energy disappeared, because timing did. Modern civilization doesn't run on electricity alone. It runs on synchronization. And synchronization is centralized. The internet is decentralized. The power grid is distributed. Financial markets are global. But the timing signal coordinating them is not diversified. It is centralized in orbit. We didn't design it this way intentionally. It happened gradually. Convenience beat redundancy. Cost savings beat resilience. No one event created the vulnerability. Thousands of small design decisions did. The fragility is structural, not dramatic, and that makes it more dangerous. There is growing awareness. The Department of Homeland Security has warned about GPS timing risks. Private companies are exploring chip-scale atomic clocks. Some limited terrestrial timing initiatives are being discussed. But as of today, there is no fully operational, nationwide terrestrial backup equivalent to what eLORAN could have provided. The spare tire is still missing, and dependency is still growing. GPS is often called the invisible utility. Like electricity, we only notice it when it fails. But unlike electricity, most people don't even know it's there. We built a civilization that assumes the sky will always whisper the correct time. We removed the backup, and we never seriously stress-tested the failure. That doesn't mean collapse is inevitable. But it does mean resilience was deprioritized. And that's the real story. If you want to understand the other single points of failure quietly embedded in our infrastructure, from undersea cables to cloud consolidation, make sure you watch our investigation into the Internet's hidden centralization problem. This is Signal and Shadow. Stay vigilant.